On October 5th, 2011, American Horror Story released its pilot episode, immediately taking the world by storm and garnering almost 3.2 million views with its debut. AHS turned to social media to promote their first season, following in the footsteps of other popular programs at the time. Off the bat, they were trying to set a darker, more serious tone with their marketing. It seemed different from what most Americans, at least, had been used to seeing on TV every week. And I get the hype. They made an ARG of this thing and even created American Horror House Calls, which, as far as I'm aware, took place before the pilot episode even aired. Oh, God damn it! Oh! Safe to say that people love this show, and I was finally ready to check it out for myself. Come to find out, you all lied to me. Or at least you're lying to yourselves. And hey, maybe I just don't get it. Maybe you just had to be there. But this is what I could find wrong with American Horror Story's pilot episode. So we start out in 1978 with a creepy ass house and two little mean ginger kids walking up to the yard towards the house, and a little girl tells them not to go in there because they're gonna die. You guys think they listen? No. The answer is no. Flash forward to present day, and we're in a gyno's office. We meet Vivian, our main character, presumably. Her doctor's kind of pushy. We find out that she was one of the OG crunchy moms.
I don't know. I don't even let my family drink out of plastic bottles.
And they allude to some sort of horrible event occurring to the family, or specifically to Vivian. I'm sure they will handle that delicately going forward.
Have you ever seen a baby goblin?
Vivian then comes home in her chic little beret, and she calls the cops after hearing somebody upstairs, and nobody's supposed to be in her house. She hangs up with 911 and goes to confront this intruder with a kitchen knife for some fucking reason. Come to find out, her husband is just upstairs cheating on her, we can assume. And Vivian reacts to this very calmly. By the way, she just kind of slashes him. And yes, okay, this is morally wrong, but at least it's a somewhat, believable reaction to this if you're standing in the hallway with a knife. Not really defending Vivian here, but hey, there are definitely worse examples of characters resorting to extreme violence for seemingly no reason. Anyways, we get this really creepy intro, which is also really loud, but who am I to comment on audio discrepancies? Side note, I've only seen this one episode and some of Coven, but this is the only show I can think of that genuinely benefits from having ads. It's the only time I haven't hated watching something on Hulu. It makes the episode less choppy. Then we meet Vivian's family. We meet her husband, Ben, and her daughter, Violet. Vivian and Ben seem to have their issues still, understandably, but Violet just seems to be mean. What did the dog do to you?
But if baby substitute is shit, you find something.
Maybe not mean exactly, but she just is coming off as moody and brooding, which, it's the only way that you can write teenage girls. Duh. They're met by their realtor, and we're given a quick reminder of when this episode aired.
They restored everything.
Gay?
What do you think?
We learn that the husband, Ben, is apparently going to be using the home as an office. He's a therapist. And maybe this is just a reach, but I can kind of, think in my head here. That doesn't seem like the best idea. Do therapists do that? Telehealth is one thing, but this feels a little. Anyways, the dog just keeps trying to warn these people, but for some reason, she's the enemy. And then we learn that Violet's not just moody and brooding, she's actually really cool. She's spooky and dark, too.
They didn't die in here or anything, did they? Yes, actually, both of them. Murder-suicide.
Where'd it happen?
The basement.
We'll take it.
This is when I started to feel like all of you are just liars. This dialogue is fucking hilarious.
So I let him do coke off your nipples. They were numb for 2 days. What the hell is wrong with you? People sit here, they eat here. You don't know me. Why are you doing this? His grandmother died of lung cancer. She takes this stuff pretty seriously.
But I do have a question for everybody who went to school in 2012. Were you guys just allowed to smoke in the hallways, or sorry, outdoor hallways? I guess it just doesn't seem that long ago for this to be a reasonable assumption. Also, why is Maya here? And hey, I'm not making any accusations, but did the writers watch Murder House when trying to plan for season 3 of Yellow Jackets.
Eat it. Eat it, or I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. No.
Just saying. And then we're brought to the most, in my opinion, problematic thing so far. The infantilization of people who have disabilities is just kind of odd, just a little bit, and maybe even a little confusing. Especially because, first of all, Go Diego Go was always superior to Dora.
I put on Dora the Explorer for you so you would sit and watch it.
It was Go Diego Go. I don't like it.
I don't know, I'm just left feeling like it's a little wrong to have this adult woman breaking and entering and then arguing over children's cartoons, and that's just like normal. In fact, that's like a spook factor.
I'm here because this place is lost in a time warp.
I want to preface this section of the video by stating I'm kind of on the fence about including it at all, but after watching another YouTuber's video on how this didn't age well killed media literacy, she made a point that I think everyone needs to hear, and she inspired me to not feel bad for actually having opinions.
I look at media not aging well as a good thing. Proof of progress that we can now see the error in our ways and that we have a society where we can better hear the dissenters. Because please know that everything that makes a piece of media problematic by today's standards was problematic then. The majority just either could not see that or couldn't hear the minority telling them about it. Moral media consumption dictates that we critically analyze the media consumed so that we can mitigate the harm by parsing out the lessons, identifying problematic elements, and using them to critique or illustrate problematic societal attitudes and phenomena. I believe that there not only can be room for both depictions of the world we want to live in and the world we do live in, I think there must be. We've become so politically conscious that we've created this kind of hostile social environment, especially on the internet, where it feels like everything is a litmus test and you're expected to denounce, abandon, and shit on any and everything that could be called problematic, to the point that people break into hives at the first sight of media analysis because they're scared to death that it means they're going to have to denounce, cancel, or get rid of something they love.
My criticisms definitely don't mean that you can't like the show or the characters I'm about to talk about. It doesn't even mean that I personally hate this episode or whatever. All it means is that I didn't exactly enjoy an aspect of this show, and I'd like to explain why at least. So in Murder House's modern day timeline, Adelaide is supposed to be a 39-year-old woman, and from what I can tell, she's dressed up in children's clothing and constantly mistreated, just to convey to the audience what kind of a person Constance is. Maybe it's just the almost 14 years speaking, but I don't think that justifies the weird way they handled one out of only 2 disabled cast members' roles this season. Criticisms of the show writers / runners for this portrayal definitely does exist, but I honestly couldn't find too much or too many people upset, at least publicly. An article I did find specifically in regards to Adelaide's character in Murder House does a good job of explaining why that might be, though. It is wonderful to see a disabled person on primetime television, and undoubtedly so to see a disabled character actually played by a disabled actor. However, as we say time and time again, inclusion is not enough. Adelaide is haunted by constant tropes and stereotypes, and her character is constantly attacked and denigrated. It's inclusion, but it could be a lot more. The article also details how Adelaide's character is treated differently in comparison to the other characters on Murder House, like when we see Vivian grabbing Adelaide by the face and we see Ben calling her a literal freak, which, hey, at least that's less offensive than what they were originally going for.
Huh?
Why is it magically okay for a 39-year-old woman to be dressed up in children's clothing and demeaned multiple times in her introduction in the pilot episode just because her character / actor has Down syndrome, which they were specifically casting for? In similar portrayals of this trope in which we see an overbearing mother infantilize her adult daughter, we do not see every other character treat the daughter as if this behavior is acceptable or normal. And I think it needs to be stated that this storyline was not coming from a place of personal experience with Down syndrome. Back in 2011, Adelaide's actor, Jane Brewer, talked about how different Adelaide is from herself and how differently society treats her in comparison to how the characters of Murder House treat Adelaide. Jamie has also specifically done quite a bit of work to help eradicate the medical and colloquial usage of the R word, which just makes me sad to see that it was even in the script at all to begin with, even if it was a rough draft. This has probably just come off as a rant, but I can definitely say I was taken off guard when going in blind here. It doesn't feel right to sum this up to a character potentially aging poorly in hindsight. I think it's important to state that stereotypes were wrong even 14 years ago. To make a long story short, the portrayal of Adelaide was disappointing and quite frankly weird. It's not good enough now, and I'd venture to say it wasn't good enough in 2011. I'm as Clyde did better in Coven at least, which I admittedly watched all of while planning for this video. Anyways, and then, just to quickly let us know who this woman in Vivian and Ben's house is, we have a quick racial joke.
Oh, round cartoon characters, you can't tell the difference.
Excuse me.
They've brought over some sage for Vivian to help clear her of, her bad juju or the houses, and I don't know. Which, come on, obviously leads to a spooky discovery. This though, this is better than anything I could have ever expected. This is, oh my god.
You okay? Oh.
I'll admit it right here and right now. The gimp suit in the attic is better than any jump scare, any supernatural element I've ever seen. Gimp suit aside, we meet a blonde kid dressed up like Steve Blue's Clues, and then we see that infamous skeleton face paint monologue. This did absolute numbers everywhere. Tumblr, Instagram, back when it was brown and like an actual little camera thing. You guys are gonna have to let me know how you feel about this one, but in all honesty, the only thing I can focus on in this therapy scene is how choppy the editing was or the camera work. Like, why did they need a lens zoom for piss and vomit? So I can't really show you guys this next scene, nor would I want to, but it's over and done with, and on to Ben's adventures anyways. And listen, not to bring this up again, but I'm going crazy, right? I'm seeing things. Then we meet Moira. She is the house's housekeeper, if that makes any sense. And Vivian invites her in for tea as she waits for her cab. We learn that Ben, at least, can see her, actually, as like a young woman. That doesn't matter to him, you know. He loves his wife. Ben is so sure of this as well. That's obviously why they decide to hire her. Kate's back for another session with Dr. Harmon, and this time Ben is recording the session. Their dialogue is definitely heavier, but I still just can't get over how Kate is played to be like almost cutesy or something. Look at his little feet kicking. Maybe I'm just part of the problem, but it's not so much to me that Tate just is coming off as unassuming. He's coming off as almost comical. Case in point.
I was afraid my big dick wouldn't work. I was afraid my dick wouldn't work.
And for this next scene, I don't even know what to say. It's very clearly not supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be serious.
Last week, first day at my new school.
This is something I've noticed about the little bit that I've seen of this show is that they don't nail tone, in my opinion. Some of the weirdest clips in the show I definitely can't put in here, and I don't even really want to summarize them.
Sorry. I usually only cry like this after I masturbate.
All I can say is thanks to this guy for putting an end to whatever I just witnessed. Moving on, apparently Addie can see ghosts, and that's why she's so obsessed with the house, which just begs the question again, what clairvoyant is choosing boots over baby jaguar? And while they're all in Ben and Vivian's house, we learn that Constance is an interesting character.
I want you to stop coming in here without permission. Am I clear?
You touch my kid one more time and I will break your goddamn arm.
Her reaction to this is just a little bit jarring compared to her prenatal comment earlier.
I'm a good Christian, but Jesus H. Christ. You know, if they'd invented some of those tests a few years ago.
You know what? As the episode continues, at least we can say Ben isn't too terrible with a therapist. This kid seems to creep everybody out, which is kind of understandable.
I'm trying to report a patient of high school age that I believe could be dangerous. Yes, I'll hold.
This is definitely just a nitpick, but they're really trying to hit us over the head with the whole Vivian is like a LA health nut yoga guru thing.
Your wife's not home. She's probably at Pilates.
This is like the third time that they've mentioned it. Violet ends up catching her dad cheating, and we're kind of led to believe that as a result, she gets into a fight with the American Lung Cancer Association. And again, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a cigarette butt would stay lit for that long on concrete. I'll give it to all of you, though. If I was a teenager back in 2011, I would also be quite a fan of whatever the hell Violet has going on. And if this isn't already choppy enough, now we have some of Ben and Vivian's marital issues. Yay!
How long are you gonna punish me for?
I'm not punishing you, you narcissistic asshole.
I hate this scene. I hate this scene so much I don't even want to talk about it. The argument's kind of funny though, and sadly I feel like it's kind of realistic. This scene specifically is another AHS scene like the skeleton face paint one, where I can definitely say as a non-viewer, I've seen it before, and I should have taken it as a red flag because the episode definitely doesn't look up from here. I guess I can say that I'm happy they're giving Vivian some personality, but making the dog the main talking point of this argument.
You got a dog. I needed you, and you got a dog. It was me. You should have been curling up with a knife, not a dog. I needed you.
You needed me, so she was revenge because you needed me. That's exactly what you're trying to need.
It's really funny. I'm sorry. I lied, actually. I can say that I feel bad for Vivian, and I think that the way they're talking about her miscarriage is weird.
You know, I can show you statistics on how many men cheat after a miscarriage. I was there for you, Viv. I was patient and understanding and caring, and I put your feelings first.
You buried your sorrow in some 21-year-old's pussy.
This next scene we get with Violet and Vivian is like the only normal scene we get in this entire episode, and it is nice. I'll give them that. I guess good things can never last because we're back to Tate and Violet and this choppy editing. I'll admit it's attention grabbing, but it almost feels like the show doesn't even take itself seriously. And I know in general, adult writers attempting teen dialogue often comes off as kind of cringy.
Here's the deal. I need you to stop harassing me. I got what you want. Drugs. Come to my house tomorrow for your free sample. I'm a dealer and a good one. I got the best shit in town.
This is definitely quite the offender. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? We see the gimp suit again, and this time we see somebody wearing it. We can assume that, Ben's getting his freak on. Anyways, Vivian is into the no-talking latex suit thing. But this is when we start to see clips of Ben downstairs. Not in the gimp suit. On top of all of that, Constance magically spawns in and stops Ben from, burning his house down. I'm sure that's not important. Back to Violet's drug dealer arc.
What's down there?
Mustache. Parents toss my room every week.
If you're screwing with me.
It's just the basement. I found the best hiding place. This is great shit, too. A lot of
So she's decided to lead this popular girl who's been coming after her in her cigarettes all episode down into Violet's creepy basement. Violet takes her down there and they walk into a dark room where Tate is just casually sitting on a chair waiting for them. Tate attacks the popular girl and we see him kind of like merge between Tate and this creepy demon thing. I don't really know. Unfortunately, this also freaks out Violet and she is not a fan, understandably.
Get out! I don't want to see you again!
Their reactions are pretty normal for what they just went through. This is not, though.
Homicide. Triple homicide. My daughter, Angie, was 6. The older one, Margaret, was 10. I killed him. Oh.
This Larry Harvey guy that has been kind of stalking Ben finally gets a chance to talk to him, and he tries to sit down and tell him, if he stays in that house, he's gonna end up killing his whole family because that's what Larry Harvey did. But he is being a little creepy. I'll give Ben that. Obviously, Ben doesn't want to listen, and so that's it. And we're on to Constance. She's in Vivian's room, and she's going through her things. She goes to steal a pair of her earrings, and that's when Moira walks in and tries to stop her. But Constance, she reveals her little secret. She threatens Moira, and we find out that Constance is the whole reason that Moira was stuck in the house. Constance ended up being the one that killed her. Just stuck in there.
Don't make me kill you again.
Finally, we're at the end of the episode, which in a cutesy way, we learn that Vivian's pregnant.
Whatever you want.
I think I want Indian.
You only like it.
And the audience can only assume it was as a result of rape. Not to bring the mood down or anything. Whether the world was collectively watching this with rose-colored glasses, or it truly was just a different time. Almost 14 years later, I can concretely say that this pilot is kind of ass. It didn't hold up to the hype, I'm sorry. I tried not to water down any criticism I had as a first-time viewer, but I will also wholeheartedly admit, pilots are usually bad. Pilots aren't usually the best episode of a show. Shocker. Obviously, I'm not going to judge the entire season off of this first episode. Keep that in mind. I think a horror show actually trying to scare its audience and cross boundaries is a breath of fresh air. And if Murder House did that for you, I'm glad. Unfortunately for me, though, Murder House's first episode was a 51-minute long reminder that horror isn't automatically good, even if it is groundbreaking in some ways and successfully camp in others.